Saboteur makes a strong first impression. There are few callings nobler than that of a World War II French resistance fighter, and the black and white Schindler's List conceit is ready-made to yank at your heartstrings. Still, as a game, it treads established ground. Not to mention there's already been one open-world experience this year that focuses on wholesale demolishment. Is this care package rigged to blow up big, or has it wound up a dud?
We can play any game you like when this is over.
You are Sean Devlin, an Irish race car driver turned mad bomber with a purpose. Shortly after the game begins, you're indulged in a lengthy flashback that both introduces the main antagonist, a German Ivan Drago named Dierker, a Gestapo agent who moonlights as a race car driver, and reveals Devlin's motivation for blowing up Nazis for the French. As it happens, Devlin's best friend was tortured and murdered by Dierker after they trespassed on a Nazi base. To add insult to injury, this was mere hours before Dierker popped a cap in Devlin's tire, causing him to lose a big race.
Son of a bitch!
The story begins in earnest in Paris, not long after the events of the flashback. After being cajoled by a hard-boiled Frenchman named Luc, Devlin goes from drowning his sorrows in a cabaret to conducting a straight-up reign of terror on Paris's Nazi occupiers. The story hits all the expected notes: revenge, redemption, and romance. This is Paris, after all. It all feels lightweight, though. The atrocities and barbarities that probably motivated people like Devlin to risk life and limb to fight the Nazis are given short shrift, and the dialogue is far from convincing.
I'm the one who's been cheated, Devlin. You should have died under my knife.
In the end, the striking World War II setting is little more than a cool backdrop against which to blow stuff up.
That's my cue. Time to leg it.
The Saboteur is laid out like most open-world games. You have a handful of story and side missions available to you at any time, as well as a ton of stuff to do beyond the story's bounds. The difference here, though, is that engaging in extracurricular carnage can actually make your missions appreciably easier. All around Paris and its surrounding areas are Nazi military assets, sniper towers, propaganda speakers, AA guns, and the like. And when you take down one via sabotage, it's gone forever. This means that when you're inevitably on the lam following an explosive end to a mission, you'll encounter less in the way of armed resistance. It's the most effective way to get rich, too. When you blow up a Nazi structure, you'll clock the contraband, which you use to unlock new weapons and restock ammo, among other things. The Nazi stuff is everywhere, making it totally possible to raise hell for lengthy stretches without dipping a toe into the directed experience. The story missions themselves are generally pretty substantive. The brief one-offs have been saved for side quests, and there are plenty.
Rest in peace, fuckface.
When you're on a main mission, expect complex set pieces and hazardous heroics, stuff like running through exploding zeppelins, hijacking trains, and commandeering AA guns. The story might be wimpy, but when it comes to crafting exciting scenarios, the Saboteur tries its heart out. There's also a pronounced emphasis on progression, both in terms of Devlin's character and the tone of the open world as a whole. The game's perk system will bolster your abilities based on your actions, leading to noticeable improvements in your performance in a variety of areas. If you steal and collect enough cars, for instance, you unlock fancier models in your garage for free use. Likewise, if you're brazen with the stealth kills and demolitions, you can unlock perks that affect your bombs, or even open up brand new hand-to-hand moves. The territory control mechanic certainly is flashy, if a bit undercooked. When you complete key story or side missions, the dour black and white world comes into vivid color. The effect is often accompanied by a drag-out firefight with the Nazi occupiers. The payoff is neat, and the effect serves as an interesting marker of progress as you travel through the city's patchwork of beaten down and invigorated districts. But given that the system by which you free a district is more or less arbitrary, it's basically just window dressing.
I hope you are not disappointed.
What the fuck is going on here?
For a race car driver, Sean Devlin sure is mobile. To suit Paris's hilly geography, Saboteur puts a focus on verticality, which in effect means you have to spend a lot of time helping Devlin impersonate Altair. Though the climbing game doesn't begin to approach Assassin's Creed's stunningly real-seeming parkour,
Motherfuck!
it works just fine. Factor in a proliferation of automobiles, one of which, incidentally, is a clear homage to the King of Assassins himself, and you have a game where you're constantly on the move. It won't occur to you at first to take the rooftops to evade pursuit. There are just too many cars everywhere, and in this open-world game, they're actually easy to drive. Once you realize how comprehensive the Nazis are about their patrols, you'll look upward for sanctuary. It also helps that the most common hiding spots in which to wait out alarms are located atop buildings.
Down the hatch, as they say.
Like climbing, the combat mechanics are bare bones. Hand-to-hand fighting is a little clunky, but you won't do much of it anyway, since guns are cheap and plentiful, and stealth kills basically foolproof, especially once you learn to do them from the front. Armed combat works like you'd expect. You can free fire from the hip, or shoot through the iron sights. The game takes liberties with realism in favor of explosive feedback, so expect some high-powered weaponry. Keep an eye out for what the Terror Squad troops are packing. The Saboteur's mechanics, in a nutshell, are a little kludgy but functional. When the game is at its best, like say when you're going on a demolition marathon, dodging a 4-alarm response from the Nazis complete with zeppelins overhead, you can count on the controls to not kill you. The Demolishment game isn't anywhere near as comprehensive as Red Faction Guerrillas, but to its credit, you'll also feel like you have a chance to make it out of the hairiest situations alive.
One day you'll have to tell me how you came by these scars.
Once the novelty of the Okami meets Schindler's List gimmick wears off, the Saboteur starts to look a little rough around the edges. Characters and cars look good, but most of the buildings look pretty crude when viewed up close. The characters' faces are a little touch and go as well. Devlin looks great, and believable as a person. Characters with smaller parts, though, don't hold up under close scrutiny.
Perhaps.
The voice work is spotty as well. You won't be convinced by many of the performances, not even Devlin's.
Oh, I'm afraid I've been a bad girl.
Aye, I'm certain of it.
Black and white pretensions and all, the Saboteur traffics in boring, overused caricatures.
I think this is the beginning of a very profitable friendship. You are now free to trade with any black market dealer in this city.
The music is nice, though, comprised of remixed period music when you're in a car and sweeping orchestral pieces when it wants to drive home the drama.
Dance me to your beauty with a burning violin.
However much its color scheme may protest to the contrary, the Saboteur is not a classic. It gets the basics right, though, and it's peppered with a lot of exciting, memorable moments. If you haven't had your fill of open-world mayhem this year, and quite a year it's been, you shouldn't begrudge it an explosion or two.
Probably not.
Let me see your beauty when the witnesses are gone.